Yes, it is very obvious, especially after the Delhi High Court. Now the Supreme Court concurs with the Delhi High Court that there is absolutely no grounds to stop the investigation or stop the IT department from probing into what could very well be a criminal investigation. Now, that's point number one. Point number two, the Congress's high-pitched campaign against graft, anti-corruption, blaming and charging the NDA government and the Prime Minister for unproven and alleged graft and imagined deeds of impropriety rings absolutely hollow today. Somebody, as the Prime Minister said, and I, in this case, agree with the critique, somebody who's out on bail in a criminal investigation should not be giving lectures or certificates of propriety to anyone, least of all the Prime Minister, a sitting Prime Minister of this country.
As far as today's proceedings in Supreme Court are concerned, this matter will come up again on the 4th of December. In no way has the Supreme Court passed any kind of strictures or given any kind of statement against the position as far as the Gandhis are concerned. Let's also remember what has taken place in the High Court. The High Court has actually agreed to hear a plea against the government orders to vacate the premises as far as Herald House is concerned. This is a clear sign that there is some kind of a political witch hunt against the Gandhis. And last but not the least, let's also remember the fact that while AJL and Young India have complied with all the assessment and all the procedures, the timing of the notice coming as it does just 30 minutes before the end of the deadline of the limitation period raises some serious questions as to what the intent behind that was.
Joining us on the Clash tonight, Gaurav Bhatia as well as Ishkaran Bhandari on this side. On the other side, Ashutosh Mishra as well as Sunil Fernandez. Madhav, let me ask Ashutosh Mishra right away. How is this not a setback given the fact that the entire operation as far as the Congress party's political attack is concerned is about graft, alleged corruption, unproven corruption as well as impropriety, when the Supreme Court still believes there are grounds for a criminal investigation to be, or reassessment as you would say, into the Gandhi in alleged cases of misappropriation of funds and cheating the public exchequer, as Dr. Swamy says.
In this case, the Supreme Court and the High Court have not decided on the merit of the case, number one. All they have said that in the Income Tax Department has the right to reassess. And what does reassessment mean? That there are two officers of the same department have a different view on one particular subject. In this case, it is the IT case. And the second officer, whatever demands he has read, 250 crore odd demand, is based on presumptive profit. It's not been proved anywhere that that money has gone either to Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi or for that matter to the company.
Okay, what has come in today as far as the Supreme Court is concerned is that they have not concurred with the final judgment as far as the High Court is concerned. All they are saying is that there should be a probe into this entire matter. How can that mean that the Gandhis are liable or that they have been found guilty?
No, Madhav, let us first understand there are two aspects of it. One is the criminal case which is going on, and we know that Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi have been enlarged on bail in the National Herald case. Second is the case pertaining to filing of the income tax returns, and where the High Court judgment, which still stands because it has not been stayed, clearly gave the power to the Income Tax Department to reassess the returns filed by the company. The larger question here is that we have seen how Rahul Gandhi has been talking about, the corruption that has taken, the alleged corruption that has taken place in the Rafale deal. But Narendra Modi ji rightly said, how do we believe a leader who, first of all, is out on bail? Second, he himself requested the High Court that even the proceedings of his case should not be made public. And third, what stops him from actually coming out and making everything clear to the public? The nation is demanding that. Leave the provisions aside. The larger debate is, we all know that even when it came to the constitution of SIT, the Congress government then did not constitute an SIT, and in the first cabinet meeting, Modi ji had constituted that SIT. So the Congress party has become source of all corruption scams that have taken place, right from 2G, Colgate, 80-20 scam, Karti Chidambaram, INX Media, and many others. So I think we should look at the larger picture and the ramifications out of this.
Sunil Fernandez, how is this not a setback legally? I know that we've spoken about this before, but you and I slightly disagree on one particular point. The fact that Rahul Gandhi stands accused of not disclosing information that he was also a director in Young India, and he didn't tell that to the tax assessee. From a very tax assessment kind of
I'm
point
thankful
of
you
view.
asked me this question legally, because I'm not a politician, so
Yes.
I can't give you a political answer.
No.
I'll attempt to give a commonsensical answer to this. First and foremost, the matter is before the Honorable Supreme Court. Let's not play judges here. It's for them to decide. They will decide this on December 4th. Secondly, as my learned friends from the Supreme Court bar would vouch for this, that 80% of matters that go to the Supreme Court get dismissed on day one. The very fact that the Honorable Supreme Court today said that they would like to hear this matter comprehensively on December 4th means that by no means it can be considered as a setback. Thirdly, this is in my view a vindictive measure, because the cutoff period for assessment of 2011-12 returns, in this case, because we must understand this is a reassessment, this is not an original assessment. The cutoff date for 11-12 assessment year was 31st of March 2018. At 11:22 p.m., notices are issued for opening this or for having it reassessed. Now, we are, unfortunately, in the public domain, there is no data to show on that given day, was it only a specific political opponent family that was subject matter of your benevolence, or were there other such tax evaders also in the country who received similar notices?
Would that make a difference if they had?
That's indicative of the vindictiveness. That's indicative.
But would that make a difference? The crime will
of the
be
malefactor.
Okay.
Then coming back to the merits. Now, see, the
Would
merits.
that affect the
Yes.
crime?
Just last point on this. Just last point on this.
Alleged.
That the answer to today's hearing in the Supreme Court, which was essentially on the tax issue, cannot be criminal matter. The criminal aspect has nothing
I
to
think
do
he disagrees.
with today's
Okay.
case. With today's case.
Ishkar, respond to this point
let me-
of the entire half an hour before the deadline ending, the government issues notice. Isn't that very suspect? Doesn't that raise questions?
Firstly, the government will act when it gets information. This scam of National Herald was done when the Congress was in power. They were controlling all levers of power. The magistrates court summoned them. It found a prima facie case. The High Court upheld it. The Supreme Court upheld it. That's why they are out on bail. So it is flowing from that. If you commit a crime and do not tell the income tax authorities that by committing this crime I have made this money, how would they know? They would only know when the facts come to light, when they were summoned by court and the Supreme Court held that prima facie case is made out and the case should go on. Obviously, the department would get into action. That's a basic common sense thing. If any other criminal comes to light that he did corruption and he hid it from the income tax authorities, they will enter into the issue. That's what they did in this case. Secondly, let us understand one point here. There are 3 crimes committed here and more will come out. One is the criminal case before the magistrates court. Second is the income tax, where this political angle was raised before the Honorable High Court. It did not uphold it. And the Honorable Supreme Court today did not give a stay. If they got a stay, would they not be saying we won? Because they did not get the stay, they have to equally admit that they have had a setback. Third point is the eviction from the property they have occupied. That is also going on.
Okay.
So it's a multiple pronged scam and it will all come out.
Ashutosh Mishra, let's talk politics, because rightly, as Gaurav mentioned right now, what moral grounds does anyone in the Congress party, least of all the president, who is, as the Prime Minister points out, out on bail in a criminal case, I know we disagree, but I'm still going to call it that since it's in court, have any right to lecture anyone, least of all a sitting Prime Minister?
So
he used the word bail Gandhi. I mean, I'm not using the word. The point is very clear for everyone to see. Who will take Rahul Gandhi seriously, or anyone else from the Congress party, when your own leader is accused of evading tax to the tune of crores?
That, as we have been seeing, there is one point agenda of the Modi government, and that is to destroy the legacy of Pandit Nehru, whether it be the Nehru Memorial or the National Herald. This also, as Madhav very rightly said, is a witch hunt. All that has happened, and what Ishkaran is not telling us is that High Court has...
In the absence of any evidence against the Prime Minister, isn't what Rahul Gandhi is saying also a witch hunt against the Prime Minister?
How is Nehru?
No, can I?
Just one second, just let me complete this point.
Nehru legacy.
That the High Court has said that you go to the income tax department, let them make the reassessment, and then if you are unhappy, then you have the whole procedure right up to starting from the Commissioner Appeal to the Supreme Court to challenge the income tax authority again. That's all that the High Court has said, and that's all will happen.
In the absence of any evidence till now, concrete evidence, how is anything that the Congress party is saying against the Prime Minister also not a witch hunt against him?
See, I would only say that this very convenient ground that is taken, political vendetta. Political vendetta when Karti Chidambaram is arrested. Political vendetta when P. Chidambaram has charge sheet against him and he doesn't come clean. Political vendetta when Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi are on bail. Let me tell you, in the Bhajan Lal case, and it's a constitution bench case, political vendetta itself or malified prosecution is a ground for quashing. of any proceeding. That has not happened in these cases. So let us be clear, there is some prima facie material on the basis of which the trial is proceeding, and in this case the income tax has got the right to reassess. Second, it is very important that, Jawaharlal Nehru is suddenly invoked. Jawaharlal Nehru was not responsible for making a complete disclosure. It is the company where Rahul Gandhi is a major shareholder, as well as Sonia Gandhi. And most importantly, let us understand this demonetization that took place. It was a drive to weed out shell companies. There was a shell company called Messrs. Dotex. Why did it extend a loan of 1 crore rupees to young Indians? Is that not a valid question?
Let me come to that
Would
point.
that company extend a loan of even 1 lakh rupees to any other company? And second, by having this transaction, virtually Rahul Gandhi started controlling properties worth 5,000 crores. And Indian National Congress had extended a loan of 90 crore rupees to Associated General, through which the National Herald newspaper is actually published. So why was the money of a political party infused into another company which is now controlled by Rahul Gandhi?
That brings me to my question, Gaurav. As per Section 13A of the Income Tax Act and the RP Act, while it doesn't prohibit a political party from receiving income from other sources to disburse money, while there's no express provision law that allows it, there's also no provision that disbars it.
Yeah, let me respond to it. I am raising the question that can a political party first extend a loan to a company of 90 crores and then for a very meager amount of 50 lakh rupees, of which 1 crore has been extended by a shell company called Dotex, control the entire assets of that company? That itself shows that this transaction is dubious. There is much more than what meets the eye.
The answer to that was that the money was given because National Herald, it was important to keep running National Herald, and now I think there are 3 other publications which are being run. So that's, and to pay the wages,
why did Dotex extend a loan of 1 crore, sir? Can you answer that? To a company that had no assets virtually, would Dotex, a shell company, do it to others?
Okay.
Sir, we have the same question has been asked about Reliance also.
No, I am not on Reliance right now. I am only on Dotex extending it to young Indians.
Since we are talking about corruption, the same corruption theorem will apply to in case of Rafale also. Because
Rafale is again pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. Is Rahul Gandhi going to decide matters which are to be decided by the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court, all the matters before Supreme Court, and so is the Rafale matter. We have to keep, because we keep talking about corruption issues.
Whether a political party can make donations or can make contributions, yes, but not to its own president's controlled private firm. It cannot do that. No party can take money from public, no NGO can take money from public, for which they get tax exemption, and then give the money to a company controlled by the president and the general secretary of that own party who own a private company. If they wanted to waive off the 90 crore loan to the National Herald company, why did Congress not waive it off? Because then if the Congress president changed, which could happen, may not happen in this party, but if the Congress president changes, the properties would belong to the Congress party. They did not want National Herald properties to belong to the Congress party. They gave it to a private company in individual names, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi names. That is the scam in this case.
The problem here is this. My friends Gaurav and Ishkaran are having a mismatch here. It's a Bhelpuri. When the question is on the income tax proceedings, they bring up the criminal aspect. And when the questions are on the criminal aspect, they bring up the income tax. And when we question them on both, please don't interrupt. And when we question them on both, then they bring Karti Chidambaram. So you see, so it's all over the place. So the debate here was originally on the income tax order of the Honorable Supreme Court today. Yes, I'm coming to that. Let me say, all these aspects of so-called criminality have no bearing at all on the income tax matter and vice versa. The income tax matter has no bearing on the criminality, firstly. Secondly, is anybody convicted? The trial is still to conclude, the trial is still to commence, I would believe. So therefore, this allegation that you are out on bail, therefore you can't say anything and you are to keep quiet for all times to come, forget him. There are millions of Indians also who would have the same query. Won't you answer them? So this sort of blatant political attack on one single person or one single family is quite apparent in this matter.
So which
and last question, Athar. Please disclose at 11:22 p.m. on 31st March 2018 how many such reassessment orders were passed. How many citizens in this country did you open their accounts? Do they have the details? Do they have the data? Do they have the data?
Point by
Yes,
point.
let me respond to it. My friend said only half an hour remained and this proceeding was initiated.
No, I don't
And,
say. The record says that. It's not my case.
You are
It's not my
relying
case.
on the record.
It is
Sunil,
the
I don't
notice
want
issued
to
by
get
the government says that.
hyper-technical. I
No,
just
the
want-
government's notice says that, not mine.
Just let me respond. I think I have a larger point. Whether it was half an hour or whether it was 30 seconds makes no difference. And this point has already been scrutinized by the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court judgment has not been stayed. So first of all, we have to take it that as of today, the Delhi High Court judgment stands. Second, Sunil says we are shifting the goalpost. No, we are not. He is only talking about one aspect about the income tax proceeding, whereas we are entitled to rake up larger issues of propriety and property. Second is the criminal case, which is far more serious, cheating section 420 and criminal breach of trust section 406, and they are out on bail. So we have to also discuss. Third is the issue of a political party trying to infuse funds into a company and then controlling it to have personal gains. Is it not a serious issue? So if we limit the discussion only around this appeal that has been filed before the Supreme Court, I think we would not be having a very meaningful debate on the much larger
Here is my
challenges.
solution. Here is my
there are
last
some larger
solution before I
questions
come
as
to-
well.
Okay, I think he wants to come in, then we go to
one
Ashutosh.
second. As to the Bhel Puri part, the problem herein is that the treasurer of Congress party was controlling the AJL, National Herald. Same person was a director in Young India. So this Bhel Puri, which was made by the Congress party to benefit its president and the vice president and the general secretary, is how the entire scam came out. And income tax will only act once it gets to know that criminality has occurred. How would they know?
And
they knew after the
quick
court
rebuttal.
order.
Let me
So they are
seconds,
acting on that.
say answer. Now that he has raised the treasurer point, is very interesting. The treasurer is not subject matter at all of the income tax proceedings. Why? Because Mr. Motilal Vora is assessed to income tax in Raipur. Half an hour before the deadline, probably they could not work the necessary people around in Raipur, which they could manage to do in
Okay,
Delhi.
last 10 seconds.
Okay,
Steve.
very important, very important.
And
Why
one
is it
very
Why is
important
Mr.
thing
Motilal
about
respond?
one
You want
very
to
important thing
respond?
about the bail. Mr. Subramaniam Swamy tried to make sure that the court says that the Gandhis cannot go out of country. What did the court
No,
say?
it never happened.
They are dependable people, and they were given unconditional bail.
Okay.
No, they have to give security and a bail bond. What is
That is bail bond or not?
Secondly,
The condition was just like the other people, they have to take permission. There was a direct request which was denied by the court.
Please read the bail order.
Okay, I
You
think-
will stand
I think we should
clarified if
start
you read the
wrapping
bail
up.
order.
I think we should
Nothing
start
like
wrapping
this
This is
happened
nothing
in
in
the court.
that's
Please read the
that's
bail
what the
order.
order
Please
says.
read the bail order.
I know what is there and what is not there and what was asked for.
We have more
Okay,
time.
Please read the
okay.
bail order.
I want
Can
to
I-
come back to one of the other key issues, Gaurav, and one of the issues during the course of the arguments in the courts has been that the contention raised is that the debt of 90 crore bought by Young Indian from AJL, which owns National Herald, was converted into equity, and this therefore would not result in any income that was taxable. How do you respond to this contention?
No, I would only say that the High Court itself has dealt with that portion, and the High Court has held, therefore permitting the Income Tax Authority to reassess whether it would have a bearing or not. We can't decide at the studio. It is the either the Supreme
But
Court.
precedents were cited, like for instance, banks.
But
and
that
others.
has been, I have the High Court judgment with me, that has been dealt with, and after looking at all the precedents, the High Court has allowed the reassessment. But I would only say a Section 25 company, which would be a non-profit entity, is actually owning properties where rent is being taken. There are malls that have been developed, and all these things, though there is litigation pending, raises a very, strong suspicion against the Gandhi family.
Okay, you want to respond to
Yes,
that
I want
point,
to respond.
And I
because
just want to add here, because he gave the Rafale example. I just want to add here, if we as media persons can say, look, there must be more accountability about Rafale, no matter what the Congress or the BJP says, then we should always have the same yardstick
No,
there.
I think
I'll tell you why. Because if there is even the slightest suspicion of something being there more than it meets the eye, if the Rafale logic that Mr. Mishra gave us applies, then this logic should apply
I think
here
we
as
have
well.
had enough
And Mr.
digressions.
Rahul Gandhi should stop attacking the Prime
No, I think
Minister
we have-
on cases of impropriety and imagined corruption and
No,
imagined allegations of
This is
impropriety.
political, so Sunil, you might
again,
find
no,
it
I'm asking
difficult
me
to
the
answer.
political
It's connected.
So Athar, see, firstly, I think we have had enough digressions in this debate.
I feel that's a very valid point that needs to be addressed. I'm sorry, I don't think that's a digression. I don't think that's a digression.
If suppose,
No, if you look at
I will
from
give
a
that
legal
answer.
perspective, it's a digression.
If
but
suppose supposing
respond
if we start applying the same yardstick to Rafale, then there should be an FIR registered, there should be an investigation, there should be an SIT, etc., etc. It will not start with an FIR. It will not end. Or probably we should have the ubiquitous Mr. Swamy filing a complaint in Rafale, and then things will
Congress has enough.
So anyway,
if the logic is that there is some smoke, there has to be fire, and there is more to it than meets the eye, there must be more accountability. That logic must be given to Mr. Rahul Gandhi before he starts.
Answer to that is that will be proved at the end of the trial. The trial will reveal the answer. We can't speculate that. We are not astrologers. Firstly,
come back to the key issue that you were discussing.
Yes, a key issue that what Gaurav just raised, in which I must try to clarify this. So we throw this term very loosely. Section 25 company, Section 25 company. What is Section 25 company? See, unlike a normal company where if I am the shareholder, that company is able to declare dividends, I get some money in my pocket. In a Section 25 company, whosoever are the shareholders, whether the Gandhi family or anyone else, I'm sure you will have a lot to answer. They do not benefit at all. All the profits that are there in a Section 25, which is actually it is just a charitable trust which has the trappings of a company. That's why Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956, we call it a Section 25 company. All the profits that are there go into an investment protection fund, number one. And number two, if that company is to be wound up, the assets of that company goes to another Section 25 company. It cannot go to the individual shareholders. So therefore, these are some very critical points.
Can I answer?
And of course, I'm sure their answer would be, no, they would have those answers.
Firstly, this exact same thing was said in the High Court, not in the tax case, where they said that no cheating has occurred because we cannot make any money, so we can't cheat. No breach of trust has happened because we are not using any money. High Court rejected it, and in that case, the Supreme Court also rejected it, and the case has gone ahead. So this 25 argument, if you will read the judgment, has squarely been dealt with, because A, you can fly abroad, you can take first class tickets, you can take hotel stays, you can take rooms worth 5 lakh rupees probably, and it would not be a problem because you are a director in the company. Secondly, a Section 25 company can always be converted. Companies Act allows that also. Tomorrow they could convert it also. So that is not the point. It was squarely dealt and squarely rejected by the High Court and the Supreme Court.
You want to respond?
Secondly, on the tax impact, they have made a profit. That is why the assessment is going on. The High Court did not stop it. That will come out.
Okay, got it.
You know, a quick rebuttal. First of all, on the Rafale deal, let me make it very clear. The matter is now sub judice before the Honorable Supreme Court in a sealed cover. All the details have been provided. And I don't think Rahul Gandhi is above the Honorable Supreme Court. He is equal before the law. The point here is that, you know, it has become a habit of the Gandhi family to think that for them, there would be a tailor-made law. They would not be subjected to the normal rigors of law. And I think in this case, the courts have scrutinized the material, both in the criminal case, where the process is on, as well as in the IT case, where the High Court judgment clearly says the reassessment can be done. Therefore, it is important that as public leaders, they should rather cooperate with the investigating agencies and the IT department, and they should come out, make a full disclosure to the public. That would inspire confidence.
Okay, I just have one important question for you. This is that today, if we use the same yardstick of what has happened in the Supreme Court, that the prima facie is a case that requires investigation, the same logic then applies to the counter when you look at the relief given to AJL by the High Court agreeing to hear its pleas against the order to vacate the premises.
That's what the High Court is agreeing. So therefore, this High Court has said no. The government action is questionable. No. If you file a case, the High Court will hear it. They will give a stay, not a stay, admit it, dismiss it. All they have said is we will hear it. They have not given any stay. That's compulsory. They will obviously hear it.
The I had given a statistic at the start of the show itself. I had said that when this entire argument was raised on the Section 25 argument, it was with regards to the income tax aspect. I did not raise the criminal aspect at all because that was not before the Supreme Court. I'm again repeating it.
But you deny
I gave the statistics today. Why? See, the matter is now going to be argued. One does not know on December 4 what happens. The High Court's order may be upheld. It may be set aside. It's in the realm of the future. But the only positives that one can take out of this is, for the petitioner's side, would be that as 80% of the matters get dismissed on day one, Supreme Court chose not to dismiss this and hear it comprehensively. And it has put the government to notice. It has put the government to notice that we are going to hear this matter.
Of the comparison between Rafale and National Herald.
No, I'm saying if you use the yardstick.
So
for
just
talking about the
2
Prime
minutes.
Minister and the government without any evidence.
Yes. So in
then
case of National Herald, all the losses to the Indian taxpayer are notional. While in the case of Rafale, it will be our money, the taxpayers' money, which will be going out to a private company or going out to, in case of a JV, it will be going to
Like he
Dassault.
said, it's in the court.
That's a big difference.
Like he said, the details are in the court. I will not comment on
Not
it.
just that. Let me explain it for the benefit of the viewers. When CBI is to investigate a matter, and the demand is CBI should investigate the Rafale deal, there has to be a preliminary inquiry.
There is no complaint.
And after that preliminary inquiry, if they find out that there is enough material, then an FIR is registered, then charge sheet is filed, then a trial takes place. In this case, what the Supreme Court has said, and I have the Supreme Court orders, they have said that we are only reviewing the limited scope of the judicial, the decision-making process and nothing more. So it's not even a criminal case. The Supreme Court is looking into what were the stages and how was the decision taken by the government. So please do not equate it to a criminal case
And
where
as-
Rahul Gandhi and
as
Sonia
far as
Gandhi
your
are out
example
on
of
bail.
CBI goes,
There is
an
I cannot
allegation
teach
that
you law
Alok
in half
Verma
an
was
hour,
removed.
but I'm telling you.
Because he was planning to, because
So
he had given
are you trying
lent
to
a ear
say
to Mr.
how-
Yashwant
and on
Sinha.
what basis do you say that Rahul Gandhi has been
You are doing
interfering
a
in the
disservice.
CBI?
They are not the only, they are not the only
Functioning-
people. It's
You are going-
all there in the
You are doing
public
a
domain.
disservice to the
Recalibrate
CBI.
it.
Disservice
The
to
debate
the
is
In some
not
of these
over.
matters, when they
He is not
start
spoken.
making such allegations without any basis, they are doing great disservice to the nation and to the Supreme Court. On what basis can Rahul Gandhi say what was the decision that the CBI was about to take? Is he still interfering?
This
Like
is-
you made
this is a question which
CBI
you
a
don't
cage
want to
parrot. This was said
answer.
by the Honorable
And you
Supreme
tried to
Court.
do the
I
same
don't
thing.
want to shout,
Where-
sir.
where-
Please,
where-
Rahul Gandhi is
number one
not
and number
authority,
two
please.
fighting
I think what
amongst
Mr. Bhatia
themselves.
is saying, that what I said earlier, but slightly less powerful, was in the absence of any evidence whatsoever, concrete, justifiable or verifiable evidence, shouldn't politicians like Mr. Rahul Gandhi stop attacking a sitting
No,
Prime
Athar,
Minister?
and adding to that, just
Also-
20 seconds. If Rahul Gandhi is a responsible citizen and he has any evidence to show that there has been an irregularity, why doesn't he move the Supreme Court, place all the evidence before the Honorable Supreme Court, rather than making these speeches without any basis and iota of evidence? I think that discredits his own
First of all, he has been asking for a
There has to be
JPC.
a standing in facts for rhetoric to make sense also. That's my point.
No, as far as these allegations go, and Mr. Bhatia is saying he has asked for a JPC, the 30,000 crore he keeps
Why doesn't
mentioning
somebody
about.
Why does he go to court?
Why doesn't the parliament?
No, the matter
Do you
is
want
before-
the
can I respond?
country to be run through court?
Corruption.
You have
Okay,
to
okay,
you
okay,
take a
Mr.
minute to overturn the Supreme Court decision. Let's be clear on that.
Thankfully, Gaurav's very moving speech against Rahul Gandhi is not going to impact.
No,
the
it's
Supreme
not
Court.
moving. It's a legal
not
question
going to-
I've raised.
No, it's not
Suri,
going to-
as a
it's not
lawyer,
going to-
you need to address
Yeah,
it.
let me answer. No, let me
So,
answer to that.
if you would be making political
I've said I'm
Legally
moved.
speaking,
I
I'm
compliment-
asking
no,
you.
I'm going to compliment
One second,
I
please
was really
continue.
moved by that speech.
Please
So
continue.
please don't
It's
take
not a
offense to that.
speech. It's a fact.
So,
All right,
see,
all right.
A petitioner, if he has the evidence, can always move the court.
My point is this, that you, in this very case itself, you cannot compare the facts of the criminal matter and the tax matter. That is my point. And you are proceeding ahead and trying to mix up facts of Rafale with this case. You can never have an organized or a systematic debate in this.
No,
The
no,
facts
let-
are totally
let me
different.
quickly
So
respond.
let's not
Yes.
confuse
No, no, we are not
We're just confusing the audience. We just confuse the audience.
Not the case.
One is a case of governmental
Yes,
corruption
this
and the other is
absolutely
a case of
correct.
governmental corruption. One is a case in which you have been summoned by a magistrate and the Supreme Court has affirmed that summons. What has happened in Rafale? Nothing except speeches.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly my
That is the
point. Don't
fundamental
compare.
difference.
Don't compare.
I was talking about the yardstick. I mean, just make it very clear. Yardstick of propriety. I was not comparing the two cases. That's just something I need to make clear in case somebody misunderstood.
All
So
right,
in this country of 1.5 billion, it's not just one individual who's talking about Rafale.
All right,
There are
we
millions
completely
of others.
understand.
Okay,
Ishkaran Bhandari,
many people are
Gaurav
talking about
Bhatia,
this case
Sunil
also,
Fernandez
National Herald
and
also.
Ashutosh Mishra. Thank you so much for joining Arthur and me on The Clash. That's it for The Clash tonight. Join us again tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
Thanks for watching.